Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Catholic Narcissist Recovery, where we're on a mission to help you reclaim your life after narcissistic abuse. And I'm so happy you guys are tuning in. This is a great topic. The lies of forgiveness. What are the lies that we've come to believe about forgiveness that are blocking us from forgiving the person, from extending mercy, from receiving more love from Jesus, and from being free? And I'm hoping that by the end of this episode, you will identify some of these lies, and I'm hoping that this will help you on your healing journey to be more free, to be able to let go of the narcissist and how they've harmed you, and just to have more peace. Because, guys, forgiveness is beautiful. Forgiveness is there for us. It's not there for the narcissist. Forgiveness allows us to receive more of God's love and to have more peace. So let's jump into the lies. I know I've been guilty of believing these myself on my healing journey, and it's very easy to fall prey to these lies and to allow Satan to twist the truth of what forgiveness really is. So, number one, first lie is that forgiveness means I need to be reconciled with a narcissist. So, first of all, forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. Reconciliation is when two people have admitted they're wrong and they apologize and they jointly work to restore the relationship. Reconciliation requires restoration. It requires a mutual effort. Whereas forgiveness is it's one-sided. Forgiving is an action of you doing something to someone else where you're letting them go. Now, I like to think of it this way, where forgive has the word give in it. We're giving something, whereas reconciliation has a it's a condition. And forgiveness essentially sets us free from any debt or any hatred that the narcissist may have done towards us. We're wiping that debt and that slate free. Now, you might say, well, why the heck would I do that when they've harmed me so bad? Well, we have to look at Jesus, right? Jesus is so merciful to us, and forgiveness is an extension of Jesus's love. This is why I really truly believe to forgive the narcissist, it's not possible unless we have God's graces working through us. Because in our own strength, it's nearly impossible to truly love and forgive someone who's really, really, really harmed you and really done nasty things towards you. So the lie that forgiveness is reconciliation is not true. If that were the case, people would not forgive one another because it might not be safe to be reconciled with the narcissist. It might not be safe to maintain contact with them. So maintaining a friendship with someone that's really harmed you or abused you cannot be a requirement to forgive them. So the truth is that forgiveness is one way. Reconciliation is a two-way street and requires mutual trust, safety, and repentance. And we can forgive a narcissist without reconciling with them, just like love is one way and a relationship is two ways. And we can give a free gift of forgiveness without restoring a toxic or abusive relationship. So let's jump into lie number 2, which is, if I forgive, I'll be hurt again. So that, again, is just not true, because forgiveness doesn't mean allowing the same behavior to be tolerated. And if you are allowing the same behavior to be done towards you, that's a boundary issue. That's not a forgiveness issue. So forgiveness does not mean putting yourself back into the harm's way of the narcissist. It actually means releasing someone from the debt that they owe you and not allowing them to continue their harmful behavior. So boundaries and forgiveness are two separate things. We'll talk about boundaries in another time, but you can absolutely forgive someone and then ensure that you will not be treated like that again. So forgiveness does not mean that you're going to get hurt again. And if you are allowing yourself to get hurt again, even though you've forgiven someone for the harm that they've done to you, then that can be a wound that's deeper there, that needs more unpacking. Why am I allowing people to continually treat me like this? Why do I feel unworthy of receiving true, healthy, godly love? Why am I allowing people to gaslight me, to manipulate me? And there just requires more discernment and more unpacking, more healing with that statement. So lie number 3, if I forgive them, that means they got away with it. If I forgive them, that means they got away with it. Again, that's not true, right? Forgiving does not mean that what they've done is okay. If that were the case, then we wouldn't need to forgive them, because forgiveness presupposes that there was an injustice. Forgiveness means that something wrong had occurred, which is why you're forgiving them. So forgiveness actually requires an injustice to have occurred. And you don't need to forgive someone unless there's something to forgive, right? So acknowledging that harm is essential. And we have to remember, again, that vengeance is with God, right? If we forgive something that was truly unjust, we don't need to get even with that person. God knows the truth. God knows what that person did. And God knows how the narcissist harmed you. And God's not going to forget about that. We need to let God fight for us and fight through us. God just wants his love to be unobstructed in our hearts. And by giving that cross to Jesus and saying, Jesus, in your name, I forgive the narcissist in my life, and I release any hatred or bitterness, and I give all vengeance to you, God's going to take care of it. He's not going to abandon you. He doesn't want you to be treated poorly. So it's a letting go. Let God fight for you. You don't have to fight on your behalf. Okay, lie number 4. I need to feel like forgiving in order to forgive. So forgiveness is not a feeling. It's actually an act of the will guided by God's grace. It's an act of the will. It's not driven by feeling. Yes, sometimes we might actually feel like, ooh, you know what? I really need to forgive that person. I can feel it in my conscience. Something doesn't sit well. But a lot of times we might just need to forgive someone and we actually don't feel like forgiving them at all. We actually might not want to forgive them, but we know it's the right thing to do. It's an act of the will, and we need God's grace to be able to do that. So just like Jesus forgave from the cross while he was experiencing excruciating pain, we can be honest with God. We can say, listen, God, I don't want to forgive this person, but I'm asking for your help in order to be able to do that. And that really is mercy, right? We have to look back at how Jesus extends mercy towards us. We're all sinners. We're all undeserving of forgiveness. So because we're so undeserving of forgiveness and mercy from God, we have to realize that we have to have compassion for the narcissist because God has compassion for them too. And this is why it's such a grace. Because the more we heal, the more we receive God's love, the more God's love can work through us. And it's actually God that's forgiving the narcissist through you. And God's power is working through you to be able to love this person, to forgive them. So that's lie number 4, is that I need to feel like forgiving in order to forgive. And the truth is that no, forgiveness is an act of the will aided by God's grace. Feelings are kind of irrelevant. You might feel like you need to forgive. You might feel a lot better after you've forgiven, or you might not. That might take time, but those two things are separate. And the last lie is that if I don't feel hatred towards the person, I must have already forgiven them. They must not have done something wrong. And I see this a lot actually with people who've been abused by narcissists, is for a long time, the victim may have actually justified the abuse and may feel like, I deserved it, or it wasn't that bad. And they try to minimize it. They try to minimize how they were hurt and harmed. And that could be for a couple of things, right? It could be a protective mechanism that we don't even realize we're doing as a way to kind of suppress our feelings and to put up a wall and a guard. And our brains are very powerful. And sometimes they just, cause lies. We come to believe lies about how hurtful something was in order to protect ourselves. So that could be one reason. Or we might normalize the mistreatment because we've been so used to it. If we've been gaslit and, manipulated and yelled at and have dealt with such a emotionally toxic and volatile individual for so many years, it's no wonder that our psyche has maybe come to believe that this is normal. So we might not actually feel like this narcissist did anything wrong. And sometimes it takes someone else to say, like, no, that's actually abuse. That's not okay how they treated you. So even if you might not feel hatred towards this person, if their actions were not loving and they were actually truly bad, then that doesn't mean that you've already forgiven them. You might actually still need to forgive them more and invite Jesus into your heart and invite Jesus to give you that awareness, to be like, Jesus, help me realize how I was not receiving love correctly. Help me to realize where I allowed myself to be treated poorly. And as we grow in receiving God's love, and as we grow in Him teaching us what true love really is and how to be treated with dignity, that awareness is going to grow, and it's going to invite us to forgive, because we're going to be more aware of all the ways in which we did not receive love correctly from other people. And that's just the human condition due to original sin, right? We're all going to wound one another. But dealing with narcissists, they tend to wound us a lot more, which can be difficult to unpack. All right, so we talked about the 5 lies of forgiveness. Now, I just want to encourage you guys. Forgiveness really is there to free you. It's going to give you more peace. It's going to give you more joy. And it's going to allow you to see the situation more clearly. And we need to be graced up in order to forgive. I just encourage you guys to keep turning to the Lord, to ask Him for help during this process. And there's an incredible prayer ministry that I highly, highly, highly encourage that you guys explore receiving prayer from in order to help you on your forgiveness journey. And that's called Encounter Ministries. I myself have done it. It's fantastic. I've sent lots of people from our group to receive prayer with Encounter Ministries. This is not a paid sponsorship. Jesus is free, guys, but their prayer model is just fantastic. I'll link it down below. And I just really encourage you guys, if you feel like you're struggling to forgive, if you're feeling like you need more inner healing, really look at doing this Encounter Inner Healing prayer. It's going to just help you let go of any blocks that you might have towards the narcissist in your life. Because ultimately, God just wants to love us. And sometimes we get in the way of receiving His love because we might just not want to let go of some hatred and harm that's been caused to us. So just encourage you guys to open up your hearts to the Lord and to the Spirit. And I pray that whatever we discussed here today helps you and aids you on your healing journey in receiving God's love. And whatever wasn't from the Spirit, that it doesn't leave an impression on your heart. And for anything that is tugging at your heart or your conscience, lean into that. Maybe the Spirit is trying to speak to you through this video and is encouraging you to forgive the narcissist. So thanks so much, guys. And again, there's another great video, which I'll link below. How do you truly know you've forgiven the narcissist? And then also, how do you actually forgive the narcissist? So check those both out. And I just wish you all the best, guys. God bless.